Hi, my name is Cathy and I'm here at Absolutely Fabulous at Home in New Minas. We are the Groman knife distributor for Groman knives out of Pictou, Nova Scotia. And what that means is that we have almost all of the knives that Groman makes here at the store, and we distribute to other retailers, but we also sell the knives at the store. So today we're going to look at the different kitchen knives that Groman make, and we keep them in a cabinet here. We have a range of sizes from the small paring to fillet knives, bread knives, chef's knives. This is a very small sampling of what's out there, but I thought what we'd talk about today is the different types of knives and the different ways or why you might choose different knives. They make a great brochure with all of the kitchen blades in them, including blocks, but it can be a little bit difficult to sort your way through so many knives. So I thought we'd just take a little quick look at them, and we're not even going to get into the outdoor knives today. So the simplest knife is the poly-handled knife, and this is a polypropylene handle. It's slightly textured, which gives you a bit of a grip if your hand was wet or the knife was wet. And this knife is what they would be called a stamped blade. All of them have the Groman stamp on them, but a stamped blade is done like a cookie cutter, and so the metal is cut and then formed into the bevel that we come to expect with a traditional knife. So 8-inch blade, nice weight, good balance, but this is a knife that if you had to put it in the dishwasher, this would be one you could put in, because the polypropylene handle can take the dishwasher heat. So great knife, can be sharpened for a long time. If you like a wooden handle, this is rosewood. This is the same blade, but in a rosewood handle. And now we're talking about a little bit of difference in shape. This one has a bolster. So the bolster refers to this, which keeps your fingers back from the knife. So if you're pinch gripping it or however you hold it, that's why I say it's individual too when you come choose a knife, how you hold a knife. So this one, the bolster is going to protect your fingers. This one is a little bit easier to pinch grip because you don't have the big bolster. So what the pinch grip means is that if I'm holding it with my finger on one side of the blade and my thumb on the other, I have more control against it doing a wobble. The blade is the same, the handle is different, and we don't recommend anything with wooden handles going in the dishwasher. So this would be a hand wash knife. And this one was part of what they call the regular line. And so when you're following the spine of the knife down, it ends just before the butt end of the handle. And you can see the end of the metal is right here. So it's going to give you good knife stability in the blade and a good size handle on this knife. Then we have full tang. So when somebody refers to a knife as having full tang, they mean that the spine or the back of the blade has gone all the way down. So unlike this knife where it ended, the metal in the full tang from the blade has gone all the way around. So this is one piece construction. So the metal from tip all the way to the end is here. The handle's a little bit smaller. It has a blunt cut here, which makes pinch grip just a little bit trickier, but it's also a slightly thinner, even though it's classified as a chef's blade. This blade on the regular knife is almost 2 inches. This one is about 1.5. So you've got a slightly lighter, if you were holding them, this is a lighter knife, not quite as much heft, but again, smaller handle. So sometimes that's an option for somebody who has smaller hands or isn't doing a lot of chopping, just needs a really good sharp knife. Now the Cadillac is always the forged. If you were here with me today and you could feel these knives, you would feel the weight in this knife. A forged blade is made differently. It's done, each one is done individually. It has a bolster on it, but a much more refined bolster than what you see here with the poly knife. It has a small handle, well balanced. I can easily pinch grip this knife, and it's just a fraction smaller in the width of the blade. But it really doesn't need to be quite that wide because it has more weight behind it. And if we were comparing the knives, It's difficult to see, but the forge knife is actually a bit wider. There's more weight. So this is the knife for durability. This one is the most professional of the knives that you see from Groman. Forged is always, if you can afford the investment, the best place to put your money, just because it is a better knife, a superior knife. They're all great knives. This is a really great knife. The other thing I wanted to show you was Groman does something kind of interesting. They make a bread knife for a right or a left-handed cutter. Now you think, what difference does it make? A knife is a knife. On a regular knife, you have a bevel on both sides. So this knife is completely ambidextrous. It doesn't have a tendency to, when you're cutting, for food to fall to one side or the other. It has the potential, if your eye is straight and your hand is steady, of being perfectly straight because of the bevel. So I could use this with my left hand or my right hand to the same effect. But when I'm cutting bread, I have a scalloped edge, and on one side it's angled. On the other side, there is no angle. So the scallops have been dug out of the steel. When I am cutting and I'm right-handed and I'm cutting bread, this is creating a tiny wedge. The serrations break into the crust, but the tiny wedge is helping the bread to fall away from my knife. So if I'm cutting and I'm right-handed with a right-handed knife, the bread is going to fall to my right, which is what I want it to do. But if I'm left-handed and I'm cutting, and this is my dominant hand, I'm going to have a great deal of difficulty cutting it straight because I'm going to want to cut away from where the wedge is. So, how about a left-handed knife? This, same serrations, but done on the other side of the blade. So this side is flat, and this side has the serrations. So now, my left-handed customers, when they're cutting their bread, it's naturally going to fall to the left like it should. And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but with all of the bread making that's going on, the sourdough craze that's continuing, it is important to have a good bread knife. And there's nothing more frustrating than that thick crust on the top and the tiny thing at the bottom. It doesn't even fit in the toaster, and it certainly doesn't toast properly. So all your knife needs. Groman, a proud Nova Scotia company since 1957, and we carry them here at Absolutely Fabulous.